now we're out to Neptune, our basically last official planet, right? And again, if you're a Jupiterian, it's one of the four planets that would count. I think Jupiterians would probably let this pass as a planet, although it is small compared to Jupiter and Saturn, right? So the story you were going to tell there, so there's just a great story about Neptune's discovery for those who might not have heard it before. I'm going to skirt over a little bit of historical controversy over who gets credit and exactly what they did. But basically, after Neptune was discovered in the 1780s, Newton's laws and Kepler's laws were already known, and they were observing Uranus's motion. And after a few decades, by the time you get into the 1840s, they've noticed that Uranus is not moving perfectly in accord with what you expect from Newton's law of gravity. It's been moving a little too fast or a little bit too slow. I forget exactly where the break point was, but it's slightly off. And I think the leading explanation for that was that there was probably something wrong with Newton's law of gravity, that it wasn't really an exact inverse square law, and that Uranus was helping us to figure that out. But there were a couple of people, this British astronomer and a French astronomer, Leverrier, who both did some calculations independently and said, you know what? It could be that Newton's laws are just fine, and the reason Uranus has that funny motion is because there's another object tugging on it, and that's making it be a little faster as it's approaching that object, a little slower after it passes by. And both of them independently predicted where the planet would be located in order to make sense of the observations. Leverrier had the advantage of being pretty well known and having a friend who ran the Berlin Observatory. So he wrote a letter to his friend at the Berlin Observatory and said, you ought to look in that spot in the sky. And the guy got the letter, looked in that spot in the sky, and there was Neptune. So Neptune was discovered by mathematics. The telescope confirmed the discovery, but it was discovered by mathematics. As Carl Sagan used to like to point out, if you're thinking about anything to do with astrology, this is a place where the astronomers, one, they predicted the planet that because of its influences that had been detected but hadn't yet known what it was, the astrologers completely missed it. They had their chance, based on human beliefs and behavior, to predict that there was a planet that they weren't taking into account. They missed it, so score one for the astronomers right there anyway. Triton, really interesting moon. This is almost about as good of a photo as we have of Triton, because Voyager 2 flew past Uranus and Neptune in 1986 and 1989, and that's the only spacecraft that we've ever sent to either of these two planets, and it just flew past pretty quickly and got what we got, and that's the end of it. And there are still no current plans for other missions to Uranus or Neptune, so this is a highly unexplored part of the solar system. The blue color of Neptune is really kind of striking. Uranus has a similar blue color, not quite as deep. And the blue is actually coming from methane in its atmosphere. And why methane clouds and methane gas in its atmosphere? Why does Uranus and Neptune have methane clouds and the other planets don't? Because it's colder out here. And so these are the places where methane clouds can form. I guess we just keep going this way. I don't know exactly where Pluto is, so.